This story is titled, "The Day I Got Accepted into My Dream University, I Ran into my house screaming with joy, only to find all my stuff in boxes. My parents smiled and said, 'Congrats. You're 18 now. This is your graduation gift, freedom.'" I laughed, thinking it was a joke, until I saw the U-Haul pulling in. 3 years later, they showed up at my door begging for a place to stay. I threw $100 at them, closed the door, and said, "Let's call this my graduation gift to you." You ever have a moment where your brain glitches because reality doesn't match what it's supposed to be? That was me. Standing in our hallway, clutching the Stanford envelope like it was the Holy Grail, grinning like a lunatic, ready for the big family moment. Hugs, happy tears, mom screaming, "Oh my God," while dad tries to act stoic, but you can see it in his eyes. But no, what I got was silence. Worse, smiling silence. My mom was sitting on the couch with a glass of white wine like she was hosting a book club, and my dad, he had this look like he'd just won a bet. "Congrats," she said casually, like I'd just told her I passed a driving test. "You did it." I blinked. Wait, what's going on with my room? Because I could see it. From the hallway. All my stuff in boxes. Even the comforter. My laptop charger was dangling from the side like it had been yanked out of the wall mid-use. Dad stood up, stretched like he'd just finished a long day of golf, and said, "We figured you'd be leaving soon anyway. You're 18 now. Time to start your own chapter." At first, I laughed. It felt like a prank. It had to be. I mean, this is the kind of thing strict sitcom dads joke about before softening and helping you pack, right? But they didn't soften. My mom swirled her wine and added, "This is what we've been preparing you for. You're an adult now. You got into Stanford. You're ready." Like that somehow made it okay. I felt my chest tighten and my throat went dry. "Wait, are you serious? You're kicking me out? Today?" She didn't like that word. Kicking. "We're not kicking you out. We're celebrating your independence. You've outgrown this nest." They actually called it the nest, like I was some fledgling crow, and they were proud that I'd grown flight feathers. I kept trying to get them to look at me. Really look at me. But I just got in today. You didn't even ask what the letter said. You didn't even hug me. That's when I saw it, my acceptance letter. On the coffee table. Already opened. They'd read it without me. I think that broke me more than the boxes. More than the damn U-Haul that pulled into the driveway 30 minutes later. They didn't even wait for me to tell them. They didn't care about the moment. Just the outcome. "We've got a storage unit booked for whatever doesn't fit in your new place," my dad said cheerfully, as if I had a new place. As if Stanford admission came with an apartment and rent money and a full set of dishes. I tried to fight it. I really did. Where am I supposed to go until fall semester starts? They exchanged this look like it wasn't their problem anymore. "You're smart. You'll figure it out," my mom said, not unkindly. Almost like she was encouraging me. Like this was some sort of life lesson I'd one day thank her for. That was the moment I realized I wasn't their kid anymore. I was a project. One they'd just completed and were now discarding like a used paintbrush. I cried. I don't care how that sounds. I cried in the driveway while they loaded the U-Haul. I wasn't ready. I had no plan. I didn't even have a place to go. But they acted like this was normal, like they'd given me a gift instead of shattering my sense of safety. And when I tried to stall, said I needed more time, just a few days, they told me the lease was already up. The house wasn't even in my name, and suddenly I felt like I had never lived there to begin with. I packed what I could carry. Left behind the trophies they made me earn. The books they never helped me buy. The little notes I used to leave on the fridge hoping for encouragement, only to find them tossed. I didn't say goodbye. I just walked. The driver dropped me off in front of a shabby extended stay motel that smelled like a mix of mildew and microwave sadness. It was the cheapest one I could find that didn't look like I'd be trafficked in my sleep. He turned off the engine, popped the trunk, and just sat there. No offer to help. No eye contact. Just drumming his fingers on the steering wheel like I was taking too long. I stepped out and stood there for a second, hoping for something. A gesture. A question. A freaking glance. Instead, he rolled down his window and muttered, "Not paid to unload, kid." So I did it myself. 3 suitcases, a duffel bag, 2 boxes, and a plastic tub labeled bathroom that split open on the sidewalk when I tried to carry too much at once. My toothbrush rolled into the gutter. A box of tampons bounced into traffic. I almost laughed. Instead, I bit my lip so hard I tasted blood and just kept going. Took me 4 trips. No one helped. A couple people watched from behind curtains. A guy with a Monster Energy drink shirt whistled at me. That was the welcome party. The room smelled like bleach and regret. Peeling wallpaper. A stained microwave. 1 pillow. No hangers. I locked the door, slid the chain, sat on the edge of the stiff bed, and stared at nothing. I didn't cry right away. I wanted to. God, I wanted to scream. But nothing came. Just the dull, echoing silence that pressed into my ears like I was underwater. I checked my phone. No texts. No missed calls. Not even a "let us know you got there okay." They didn't care. They actually didn't care. It hit me like whiplash. 1 minute I was accepted into Stanford, and the next I was nobody. I was nobody's kid. Just a name on a lease somewhere down the line, a name on a resume someday. But to them, I was already deleted. And that's when it happened. I walked outside to the vending machine, eyes still blurry, and saw this guy lighting a cigarette in the parking lot. Middle-aged, greasy hair. Didn't say anything, just offered me the pack with a look that said, "You look like you need it." I took one. It was my first time. It tasted like fire and rubber and shame. I coughed so hard I thought I'd throw up. But I finished it anyway. That was the point. Because it wasn't about the cigarette. It was about the fact that no one was going to stop me. No one was going to say, "What are you doing?" or "You're better than that." No one was watching. I was on my own. I didn't sleep much that night. The bed was stiff and scratchy, and every creak in the hallway felt like a threat. But mostly, I didn't sleep because my heart wouldn't stop pounding. I kept thinking, what if they never call? What if this really is it? I had enough money to last maybe a week, too, if I skipped meals. I didn't know how to open a bank account by myself. I'd never signed a lease. I'd never even filled up a tank of gas without someone handing me a credit card and saying, "Get a receipt." Now I was Googling things like how to live when you have no money and cheap jobs for teens with no car. I was refreshing job boards between sobbing fits that came in waves, deep, ugly sobs that shook my whole chest. But no one heard. No one came. The world didn't pause because I was falling apart. It just kept spinning. 3 weeks in that motel felt like being stuck in a purgatory that smelled like bleach and microwave popcorn. I'd stopped crying every night, not because I wasn't still hurting, but because my body had run out of water to waste on people who didn't care. And then, on day 22, I did something I swore I wouldn't. I called them. I don't even know what I expected. Closure? An apology? Maybe just to hear a familiar voice that didn't sound like it was trying to get rid of me. I stared at my cracked phone screen for an hour before hitting the call button, heart jackhammering like I was about to confess to murder. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. And again. I sent a text. "Hey, just checking in. Can we talk?" Nothing. The second day was worse. I started spiraling. Were they okay? Did something happen? Had they actually blocked me? That's when the bitterness started. The kind that doesn't taste like sadness, it tastes like acid. On the third day, the phone finally rang. I was mid-bite of a gas station sandwich, halfway between relief and rage. I picked up so fast I almost dropped the phone. My mom's voice. Casual. Too casual. "Oh, now you're calling?" I ignored that. I just wanted to know how you were doing. My dad was in the background. I could hear him laughing. She wants an update. What are we, her pen pals? It hit me like a punch. But I didn't hang up. Not yet. I also wanted to ask. My voice cracked. I forced it straight. If you were planning to help at all. With tuition. Silence. Then laughter. Full-on laughter. "You're the one with the Stanford brains," my mom said. "So figure it out. That's what geniuses do, right? Why would we pay for something we're not part of anymore?" My dad chimed in. "Didn't you say you were independent now? Isn't that what you wanted?" I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. Instead, I just sat there, completely numb. You raised me. You said you'd always be there. My mom scoffed. We raised you to be strong, not to come running back the second things got tough. Then she hung up. That silence after the call was the loudest sound I've ever heard. Something in me broke, but not in the same way as before. This time it wasn't sadness. It was something sharp, something heavy. I didn't want them back. I wanted them to watch. I wanted to succeed so hard they'd choke on their smugness. I wanted to turn every scar they gave me into gold and smile down on them from a place they couldn't reach. But first, I needed money. I needed anything. I applied for every job within walking distance. Fast food, retail, dog walking. No one called back. No one wanted a girl with no address and a phone held together with duct tape. I was down to my last $37. That's when Jordan called. Jordan was the kind of friend you meet once and remember for life. We weren't close in high school, but she always had a cigarette, a lighter, and the kind of eyes that had seen more than she ever said. She'd heard through someone I was in a rough spot. We met at a diner the next town over. She didn't ask questions. Just pushed a milkshake across the table and said, "You want out?" I got something. Not exactly legal, but it pays. I didn't say yes right away, but I didn't say no either. Because I knew one thing. Survival wasn't about pride anymore. It was about power. And I was done feeling powerless. The job wasn't what I expected. No, it wasn't drugs. I wasn't slinging anything on street corners or running sketchy packages across state lines. Honestly, it was worse in a way because it was legal adjacent. Just clean enough to rationalize, but dirty enough to make you question everything. Jordan took me to this warehouse in an industrial strip outside the city, concrete walls, no signage, just a keypad and a security camera that never blinked. I thought I was about to walk into an organ trafficking ring. Instead, it was a drop-shipping sweatshop. Fake designer bags. Counterfeit sneakers. Knockoff electronics with instructions in badly translated Mandarin. Import-export, Jordan said with a smirk. The American dream. They paid in cash. No questions. No paperwork. No names. Just a burner phone, a list of orders, and the expectation that you'd shut up and tape boxes fast. You okay with this? Jordan asked me outside after my first shift. My fingers were blistered. My back ached. But I was holding a wad of $320 in my hand. Real money. For the first time in weeks. I didn't even hesitate. I'm good. Because the truth was, I needed this. Not just the cash. The control. The feeling of doing something, even if it was wrong. It was mine. No one handed it to me. No one expected a thank you card. That first month was survival mode. I stopped living day to day and started living hour to hour. Wake up. Work. Eat whatever was on sale. Sleep if the neighbors weren't screaming through the walls. Repeat. And in the rare quiet moments, when I let myself feel, I still thought about them. My parents. The smug way they laughed. The way my mom said, "That's what geniuses do, right?" Every time I wanted to quit, I heard her voice in my head. So I stayed. I learned how to hustle. How to seal a box in under 30 seconds. How to fake a tracking code that made customers believe their product was stuck in customs. I didn't like it, but I was good at it. Jordan became my closest thing to family. She didn't ask why I'd been kicked out. I didn't ask what she did before this. That was the unspoken rule in our world. Don't dig too deep. We were ghosts with aliases, surviving on cash and adrenaline. I still applied for legit jobs when I could. Still wanted a clean way out. But the job market didn't care about Stanford dreams or motel addresses. It wanted resumes and references. I had none. What I did have was a growing envelope of wrinkled bills hidden inside my mattress. A burner phone full of side gig contacts. And a plan. I wasn't just going to survive. I was going to win. I was going to get that degree, walk across that stage, and if my parents ever showed up, I'd make damn sure they were in the back row. No spotlight. No photos. No forgiveness. Only then, maybe, I'd let myself cry again. But not yet. I wasn't done building the storm. 3 months. That's how long it took for everything to start feeling almost okay. Not normal. Normal was dead and buried, but steady. Like maybe I wasn't just surviving anymore. Maybe I was actually living. I had my own beat-up studio apartment, the kind with peeling paint and a hot water heater that made demonic screeches at 3 a.m., but it was mine. I'd upgraded from motel beds and vending machine dinners to thrift store furniture and real groceries. I had a fridge, a key, a door I could lock. That's luxury when you've lived without it. The dropshipping job blew up, somehow in a good way. Someone Jordan knew started pushing our stuff through an online resale group, and orders poured in. Counterfeit sneakers, bootleg perfume, bags with logos just different enough to dodge lawsuits. We shipped a record number of boxes the week I moved out. Even the boss, who usually looked like he hated being alive, gave us each a bonus in cash. I hid my envelope of earnings inside the false bottom of a makeup box. When I counted it, I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was surreal. I'd done it. I wasn't rich, but I had enough to move forward. Real forward. So I did something reckless. I enrolled. Stanford was still out of reach, but I got accepted to a satellite program, close enough to be proud, far enough to be affordable with hustle. I registered, signed up for classes, and stood in the admissions line holding my documents like they were VIP passes to a second chance. I remember walking across campus with a coffee I couldn't afford, smiling at nothing. For a second, just 1 second, I felt like the version of myself that used to exist. The one who hadn't been thrown out with a smile and a wine glass. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Wish I hadn't. Is this Melissa? Yes. Pause. It's about Jordan. I sat down on a bench near the science building and felt the air change. She's been arrested. The place got raided. She didn't give them your name. Not a word. But she asked us to call you. Said you'd know what to do. I couldn't breathe. Bail is set at $5,000. She's facing a few years if she takes the fall alone. If someone can post bond and get her a good lawyer, she might cut a deal. That was it. No crying. No explanation. Just a detonated world delivered in 4 sentences. I didn't go to class that day. I went home, pulled the makeup box out from under the sink, and stared at the cash. Every bill felt like a decision. Dream or debt. Future or past. I thought about everything Jordan had done. How she helped me when no one else would. No judgment. No questions. Just a milkshake and a lifeline. I thought about my parents laughing. You're on your own now. And how Jordan had never said anything like that, not even once. I counted out $5,000. It left me with barely enough to cover rent. I took a bus back to the city that night. Didn't sleep. Just watched the reflection of my own face in the window as we passed empty lots and gas stations. When I got to the jail, they let me post bail with exact change and dead eyes. No thank you. No nod of approval. Just another transaction. They brought her out in cuffs. Her wrists looked so small. Her face bruised, hollow, but still her. When she saw me, she didn't speak. Just looked at the money in the officer's hands, then at me. You shouldn't have come, she whispered. Too late. I didn't tell her I had dropped out of the program. I didn't tell her my savings were gone. She'd find out soon enough. But I knew this. I wasn't going to become like them. My parents. The ones who measured love by convenience and discarded people when they stopped being useful. Jordan had saved my life. Now I'd ruined mine to save hers. Jordan walked out of jail in borrowed clothes and handcuffs so loose they practically rattled. Her face looked hollow, but her eyes were sharp. Alive. Like someone who'd been standing on a cliff edge and decided, screw it, let's build wings. Her sentence got reduced to probation. Something about mitigating circumstances, overcrowding, and a miracle of legal maneuvering by the overworked public defender I found online at 2 a.m. with tears in my eyes and $5,000 in my hand. We were free, technically, but also completely broke. I'd dropped out of school. My savings were gone. The warehouse was seized. The fake designer empire? Obliterated. We had nothing but a crappy apartment, a half-broken printer, and the shared rage of 2 women who'd lost everything and refused to lose each other. So we pivoted. The idea hit during a walk through a busted strip mall. We passed a rundown florist, Shriveled roses in the window, sad little Mother's Day balloons from 4 months ago still tied to the rack. I stopped dead, looked at Jordan. What if we sold flowers? She blinked. Like, for funerals? No, for everything. But like, our way. Messy bouquets. Unapologetic colors. Vases that don't match. Nothing clean. Nothing perfect. Just honest. Jordan grinned. Emotional floristry. Exactly. For breakups, betrayals, and bitches. That night, we stayed up until 4 a.m. sketching names, scribbling slogans, building a plan with nothing but coffee, printer paper, and spite. We called it Dead Petal Society. First, we sold through social media. Arrangements with names like "Sorry I ghosted you," "Congratulations on your divorce," and "Condolences for your ex's haircut." People loved it. We went viral for a bouquet we made called "Here Lies My Last Fuck." I cried when our first custom order came in from a girl who wanted to send flowers to herself. We rented a booth at the Sunday market, then a shared space, then our own storefront. 3 years later, I bought a house. A house with a wraparound porch, actual insulation, and enough closet space for both trauma and triumph. I still kept the first bouquet we ever made, dried out, a little crumbled, but still standing in a chipped skull vase on my windowsill. And Jordan? She's clean, sober, and running our operations like a general with eyeliner sharp enough to cut glass. We fight sometimes, but never cruelly. Because we know what losing each other looks like. Our business became our therapy. Every bouquet a middle finger to our pasts. Every sale a tiny rebellion. We didn't just make it out, we made it matter. And then, 3 years to the day since they kicked me out, someone knocked on my door. I looked through the peephole. It was them. My parents. Smiling. Holding a suitcase. Wanna guess what they asked me? The knock came at 9:17 a.m. I was still in my pajamas, sipping overpriced coffee from the porch of my new house, the house I bought without them. The house built with trauma money, sarcasm, and 1,000 late nights stuffing tulips into vases named after heartbreaks. When I opened the door and saw them, my parents, I actually felt my body short-circuit. My brain scrambled to make sense of it. Maybe I was hallucinating. Maybe I'd slipped into a parallel universe where narcissists grew consciences. They looked older, weaker. My mom's roots were showing, her face puffier than I remembered. My dad, once the guy who barked orders and tossed me into adulthood like a broken umbrella, looked like he'd deflated. But what gutted me was how normal they tried to act. Like we'd just bumped into each other at Costco. I didn't invite them in. I didn't say hi. I just stared, heartbeat in my throat, and said, "How the hell did you find me?" My mom gave this pitiful laugh, the kind manipulators use when they're about to ask for something. "Honey, please. It's not like you were in hiding. You ghosted me for 3 years," I snapped. "You made it pretty damn clear you didn't want to be found." My dad cleared his throat. "We wouldn't be here if it wasn't serious." I almost slammed the door right then, but I didn't. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to hear them say it. Maybe I wanted to watch them need me. "We lost the house," my mom said. "And our savings. Everything. There was a fire last month, then insurance problems. It's complicated." I blinked. "So you just showed up at my door? We have nowhere else to go." She actually said that. As if I hadn't spent nights crying into motel pillows because they put me in that exact position. As if I hadn't smoked my first cigarette in a parking lot wondering if they'd even remember my birthday. As if I hadn't begged for help with tuition while they laughed and said, "You're smart. Figure it out." "You didn't call," I said, voice shaking. "You didn't check if I was alive. You kicked me out the day I got accepted into college, and now you want me to play savior." "We didn't come for a fight," my dad muttered. "No, you came for shelter," I snapped. "You came because now you know what it feels like to be disposable." My hands were trembling. I could feel the rage bubbling up, fast and ugly. But underneath it all was something even worse. Grief. Not for them. For the version of me that used to love them. "I begged you," I said, my voice cracking. "I begged you for help. I was 18. And you just dumped me. Like trash." My mom's eyes were watery. "We thought you'd understand. That you were strong enough." "No. You thought I'd disappear." No one spoke. The air between us felt like glass, about to shatter with one wrong breath. Then I turned, walked back inside, and came out with my wallet. I pulled out $100 bill. Crisp. Fresh. "You know what this is?" I said. They looked confused. I dropped it on the porch between us. Watched it flutter to the floor like a final verdict. "Let's call this my graduation gift to you." Then I shut the door. And this time, they were the ones standing in the cold. They didn't pick up the money. I watched through the peephole. My mom stood there like a statue, arms folded across her chest like she was trying to keep her pride from spilling out. My dad looked at the $100 bill on the ground like it had teeth. They didn't knock again. Didn't scream. Didn't beg. Just stood there. Then they turned, suitcase dragging behind them like a body they couldn't bury, and walked down the driveway. My driveway. I didn't cry. Not at first. I stood in the kitchen, palms flat on the counter, staring at the coffee I never finished. It had gone cold. Everything felt cold. I wanted to feel triumphant. Wanted that sweet revenge high, the one you fantasize about in therapy. But instead, I just felt hollow. Like I'd waited my whole life for that moment, only to realize it wouldn't give me what I thought it would. Because here's the truth they don't put in revenge fantasies. Sometimes justice is lonely. Jordan came over later, found me sitting on the porch in the same pajamas, eyes still fixed on the street like they might come back. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded. Lied. She didn't press. We sat in silence for a while, watching the sun dip low behind the trees. The kind of quiet where you don't need to say anything, because someone already knows what you've been carrying. "Do you regret it?" she asked eventually. "No," I said. Not closing the door. Just everything that led to needing to. I didn't regret giving them nothing. I regretted having parents who deserved that. Weeks passed. The business kept growing. We expanded into custom events, dark weddings, breakup brunches, sorry your therapist ghosted you arrangements. People ate it up. Turns out emotional damage makes for good branding. But at night, sometimes I still heard that knock in my sleep. Sometimes I still saw their faces in strangers. Sometimes I still rehearsed what I should have said, like the original wasn't brutal enough. I never called them. Never blocked their numbers either. But they didn't try again. And maybe that was the closest thing to closure I was ever going to get. Because the truth is, some people don't come back to say sorry. They come back to see if you're still weak. I wasn't. I built my life without them. And when they tried to sneak back in through the wreckage, I reminded them. I wasn't the broken one. They were. And I was done bleeding for people who sharpened their knives on my spine. So I let them go. Not with forgiveness. With finality.